Can you fucking look at the camera? Stop looking at me. Welcome back to another podcast episode, podcast friends. I'm here with our guest today, nobody, because we're the guests today.
Oh, who's we?
Me and you, Mr. McKillop.
Oh, that's it.
Hey, everyone. So we wanted to do just a podcast, just us, to talk about the disruption / invasiveness scale, because I, as of about 48 hours ago, started a mini cut, and I decided to do it in the least invasive way possible. So what I mean by that is I wanted only to drop about 5 kilos, which isn't that much. And I really wasn't prepared to have my life invaded just because I wanted to drop 5 kilos. So I was thinking, how can I do that while still just going about my daily routine?
So you go and get shredded.
I'm going to get shredded.
Usually getting shredded is highly invasive.
You know what though, Dean?
What?
I think the diet is working so well already. I was at the dog shelter earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I got humped the shit out of by a dog. I'm so sexy already. 48 hours, boom, boom. It's happening.
There is nothing like a little bit of semi-bestiality to really drive home your confidence when it comes to how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
If in France, you would be celebrated.
No, I think you're talking about Amsterdam, my friend.
Oh, no, I believe it was definitely France.
Okay.
In France, bestiality is okay so long as the beast is not being
penetrated. The beast has to do the penetration.
Super weird.
Where is this podcast going? Right.
Talking about invasiveness, that's highly invasive.
That is highly invasive. So I'm not doing a cut for a show. I just want to do it for just because I can. But of course, things would change if I was doing a bodybuilding show. And Dean, maybe that's where you can come in handy and you can talk to us about that. And I kind of thought about the things that I could do to make sure that I can lose this weight and still go about my daily routine. Now, I think the reason that I'm able to do this is because I already had a solid environment set up in the first place. Dean and I we share a car, so we have to go back and forth to the gym together. Mm-hmm. We already have our gym routine. So we know we go 4 or 5 times a week. We always...
Sometimes 3.
No, very, very rarely 3. We always have fresh fruit and vegetables in the house. I always make calorie conscious choices when I eat out. I already drink only very rarely. I have really great sleep hygiene. So my environment is already set up to be conducive of weight loss if I so see fit. So I don't really need to change all that much. All I need to do is pull a few calories out and bump my steps up from 7,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day. As an online coach, you might think, geez, Liz, 7,000 steps, that's not a lot. But that's because I think a lot of PTs listen to this podcast. And now I sit down and I type for a living. I'm no longer a PT. So 7,000 means I actually have to get up off my ass and walk the dog.
I was going to say, even 7,000 for a person of our kind who work online is a lot. Sometimes I hit 2.5.
I know. If we don't really try, 2.5 is easy. So I wanted to start prelude that I already have a solid environment set up and I already have strong habits. So it's not that hard. Now, the first thing that I wanted to continue, even while in this mini cut, is continuing eating out. I do Taco Tuesday every Tuesday, Taco Tuesday on Thursday, Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. Dean and I probably go to Sushi Train once a week after training, and I wouldn't mind eating out once on a weekend. So I don't really want to give those things up, and I don't need to, but it means that I perhaps need to make more calorie conscious choices. I might just not have the hot chips with my tacos tonight.
Yep.
And that's cool. And Sushi Train last night, I had a miso soup, I had tuna, and I skipped any of the rice. So I pulled calories out that way.
And I had chicken katsu with mayonnaise and rice.
You bastard. I know. I watched you eat it.
It was good.
You prick.
I also had a hand roll made with chicken thigh.
Look, I was a little jealous to give him the stink eye, but didn't say anything. But because I do want to eat out, it means that I probably need to pull my calories down on the meals that I eat at home. So probably bye-bye rice for now and hello potato and pumpkin and whatnot. And that's cool. Let's just make some food swaps. So the second thing that I wanted to do is not really make it a thing. I don't really want to talk about it, even though we're doing a whole podcast on it. But the reason that I wanted to talk about it here is because I mentioned it briefly on Insta Story. And I had a lot of great feedback, people saying that they wish they had thought of these things when they were doing their cut or had this attitude. They wish that their friend or partner or whatever it was made it less of a thing and could still eat out occasionally and whatnot. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. Perhaps you could take some points for your clients or yourself or whatever.
So just to just for the viewers, potentially the viewers, but also the listeners.
Yes.
The whole concept, I think, of this podcast is realistically discussing how you can still achieve a particular body composition goal as a gen popper, let's call you, general population individual.
A non-athlete.
A non-contest prep specific fat loss phase without being super invasive into your lifestyle. So you can otherwise live a fairly normal life with just some levels of restraint in different parts of it. To kind of take the path of least resistance, to steal that quote. That's sort of this approach. So we want to try and make this phase like it's not kind of happening, but it's kind of just happening through good, well-built behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, if people don't have well-established habits yet or unhealthy behaviors, perhaps changing that long-term is what you want to do. A diet, when done right, is not forever. It's for a few weeks, and then you can adjust, not back to what you were previously unless you want to gain all the way back, but you don't have to be as, can I use the word restrictive? Restrained, perhaps?
Restrained, for sure.
Restrained. So when we go to Sushi Train in 3 months from now, I'll be having a hand roll. I'll introduce more rice. I'll be having my hot chips again. But I'm going to continue the healthy behaviors of good sleep hygiene, being well hydrated, movement, blah, 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 blah. But obviously, if my goal was way more extreme than a 5 kilogram weight loss for shits and gigs, then my life would have to be disrupted far more than what it is now.
Well, the level of restraint goes up. And I think that's kind of the interesting juxtaposition, I suppose, of yourself and myself, is that when I've done dieting phases in the past, it's been for a contest prep. So the level of restraint and attention to detail and the potential invasiveness into our life obviously goes up, because the severity of error also goes up, because I'm on a timed course too as well. A timed course, and also a very, very highly extrinsically motivated sport.
Yep.
I air quoted that for those that aren't watching. Standing on stage in your little undies.
Yeah.
So if you fuck up too many times, you're going to pay the price of.
And is the price public humiliation?
Yeah, it is. Definitely is. So like, I think like with the eating out concept, like for myself, in a contest prep, when that dieting phase is a lot more specific, I'm doing similar behaviors in that I'm being aware of, I suppose, the foods that I choose, but having to be hyper accurate. So where you may just sort of make good, healthy decisions and also potentially reduce maybe the amount of meals you may eat out. When we went out for myself eating during a contest prep, like I pre-weighed and logged and checked the sushi that we ate the weeks prior to us actually doing it. So we still would go out and eat out, but really it was fully tracked and weighed.
And it was very rare. I want to do Taco Tuesday every week.
Yeah, and I also only did prawn nigiri, like the most boring sushi of all sushis.
Yeah.
Because it was more about maintaining life. But yeah, so I suppose like that level of goal and the intensity of the goal will also dictate the intensity of the invasiveness.
Yeah, for sure. So the second point of minimal disruption to my life that I wanted to bring up is not making it a thing. And I'm not talking about it with people, because no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit what I'm eating, what I want to weigh, like how my training's going, like really nobody. So when I hang out with my friends, I'm not going to bore them with the details of my diet. And people that pretend to care, that's really sweet of them. But I also have more important things to talk about. And I don't want it consuming my thoughts, because whenever you feel hungry, you think about food all the time. Whenever I'm bored, I think like I'm already thinking about food all the time. I don't need to then talk about it with everyone. So by just like shutting the fuck up about it, I'm just like not making it a thing, you know?
Yeah.
It ain't your thing.
It's certainly a skill that you learn over time too. I think anyone that first gets into the dieting phase, they finally feel what a deficit's like. They understand how delicious food tastes when you take it away. That hyper focus on trying to tell everybody about how delicious Vegemite on toast is. Well, I may think so. Liz would never agree with that.
Vegemite.
Even when starving, like you could put her in a concentration camp. She ain't taking no yeast spread on no bread.
Mate, I would rather starve to death than eat the devil's diarrhea. I'll tell you now. Diarrhea. It is the devil's diarrhea.
If that's what poo tastes like, I'm down with a bit of poo.
Oh, You're on your own, buddy.
But yeah, man, people focus way too much. They want to tell you about all the food that they eat. They want to tell you about how delicious something tastes. Point of advice for anyone listening home, never take the dietary advice of a dieting individual when it comes to choosing foods that taste good.
It's true. It's true. So when a comp prepper was like, man, have you tried that Walden's Farm freaking marshmallow whip? Oh my God.
Oh.
And you try it and you're like, is there a science lab in my mouth right now? This is disgusting. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if a person who's dieting tells you something tastes good, it tastes very chemically. It's shit house, and don't bother.
Yeah, don't listen to them. So the third thing that I'm doing to It Ain't No Thang is I'm eating to a hunger scale. So I have my general setup where, I eat at 7, then 10, then 1 or 2 or whatever. I'm more or less following that. But if it gets to mealtime and I'm not really that hungry yet, then I'm just going to wait a little bit. Because I have moments throughout the day and moments throughout the month, hey ladies, where you feel way more hungry than usual. So I just want to save my calories for when I really need it. So let me just talk to you about the hunger scale quickly. Firstly, Google it. It's a scale of 1 to 10. I've got it in front of me now. 10 is you're so hungry you'll eat absolutely anything. 2 is you can't ignore your hunger and everything looks and sounds good to eat. Number 3 is your stomach is growling and you have hunger pangs. Dean and I had a debate about if pangs is a thing.
I thought it was pains.
Yeah, it's pangs. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm big, you're small. I'm good looking, you're not good looking. And 4 is you can feel you're getting hungry. It's time to think about what to eat. 5, you're neither hungry nor full, blah, blah, blah. And it goes all the way till 10, with 10 being you're painfully full and you feel sick. So I've decided that I need to be okay with being hungry sometimes throughout this mini cut, and I'm just going to deal with it. And I'm not going to start eating until I'm about a 2 or a 3, which is my stomach is growling, or 2 being I can't ignore my hunger anymore. And I'm only going to eat to a 6, which is I'm satisfied, but I could easily eat more. Whereas if my goal was the opposite, to gain weight, because Dean and I both have some clients that are trying to gain weight, but they really struggle, they should never let themselves get to a 2 or a 3. They should always be eating even when they just feel satisfied, and they should eat till they feel sick.
Yeah, they basically need to be foie gras.
Yes.
If that's how you say it, foie gras.
I'm not even going to attempt it. That's good.
Now, this is a really, really important scale. I think if you haven't Googled it, please do Google it, because getting a bit of an objective, I suppose, idea around an otherwise fairly subjective feeling is going to help people distinguish between appetite-driven behavior. Yeah, laugh at my appetite, whatever. Appetite-driven behavior and also hunger. So hunger, is dispelled in the presence of food, whereas an appetite continues despite the presence of food. Lots of people misdiagnose their hunger, or their appetite, I should say, as hunger. And it's okay to be hungry. And this sort of scale gives you a bit of an idea to try and look at some of the physiological feedback mechanisms that you can use to determine whether or not you're actually truly hungry, or if you just have an appetite for something in particular.
And I'm not really having an appetite for steamed broccoli or Brussels sprouts, right? Like, I'm going to have an appetite for hot chips because they are my friend, or chocolate. And I can't fulfill that all the time, because if I'm always eating chocolate every time it comes to mind, or I feel like it, then good luck reaching your goal.
You're never eating foie gras on chocolate.
No.
Like foie gras level of fullness, that ain't happening on chocolate. And if it does, you definitely are not losing body fat.
Dean, can you please keep the listeners entertained while I close this door for the barking dog?
Yes, no problems at all. Just for those at home that are playing and don't know what foie gras is, it's a really fucked up practice, but it's the force feeding of a goose, I believe, so that they get fatty liver disease, essentially. And then foie gras is the actual fatty liver. Super, super fucked up situation.
Oh, who cares about animal abuse if it tastes good, right, people?
Yeah, maybe in side shoot. One of the other things I think Liz brought up there, and maybe to give a good example for everybody of appetite versus hunger, is everybody knows the dessert stomach exists. So like, we could fill you up and remove physical hunger with a kilo of broccoli and a kilo of cucumber, but you're still going to want a slice of cake.
Well, duh.
And you can fit it too, because the dessert stomach is a real thing.
Second stomach. Yeah.
Whereas, that's an appetite for the cake, not for the obviously cucumber and broccoli.
Yeah.
So if that is the sort of something that you deal with, it's something to be aware of.
Yeah. Another reason why I really love the hunger scale is because it just is one of the mindful eating practices. And we love being mindful about all sorts of things, using reflection and just asking the question, am I hungry? And if you're not hungry, unless there's some reason why you're eating to a schedule, and there are plenty of reasons, like you want to get your carbs in before training or whatever, then don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still going to make sure I'm in a deficit by the end of the day, and that I'm spreading my protein out in boluses, across a few hours or whatever. But if I'm not that hungry, I'll just wait a bit.
Yep. Yeah, there's heaps of awesome chat going on currently with our lovely coach Shannon, and also the poo spurt.
Dr. Gabby Funduro.
No, it's not Fonduro.
Yes, it is.
It's Fundero.
Oh, fuck.
Gabby, I apologize on behalf of Flex, the entire crew. I know I have to speak on your behalf here and say that she is not a bowl of delicious either melted cheese or melted chocolate. You cannot dip your things in her. She is not fondue. Please call her Fundero.
Gabby, if you're listening, I go to do Insta story all the time and I'm like, Dr. Gabby Fundero, and Dean corrects me every time. I'm like, fuck, I thought I got it right this time.
You did just get it right that time.
Oh, I did. God damn it.
But anyway, she's been talking about, and Shannon, and also when we've had the pleasure of reading a couple of articles, they're talking about interoceptive sensitivity, which is essentially just your ability to consciously be aware of the physiological signs your body gives you to tell you when you're full and when you're hungry and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most people that overconsume don't really have a good awareness of that. So just take a moment to breathe and think about how full you are.
But also when you are hungry, take a moment to breathe and chill the fuck out.
Yeah, it's okay.
Because you're not going to die. It's not an emergency. But I totally get, it's a survival mechanism, right? Like your body sends you all these signals, ghrelin spikes through the roof, and you feel like, I have to eat now. No, you don't. It's not going to kill you to wait until you get home. You don't need to stop at Macca's on the way. Take a breath, fill your plate up with some veg, eat slowly, enjoy it. No one's going to die.
Just be careful of that starvation mode, though, because if you get too hungry and don't eat enough calories, you'll never lose weight.
Yeah, starvation mode. I really hope that everyone knows that you're joking.
No, I'm joking.
Okay, I hope that they do.
What else are you going to do to minimize the invasiveness of this dieting phase?
Going along with the hunger scale, choosing when I'm going to eat, I'm also going to choose what I'm going to eat using the hedonic staircase of dieting. So I love chocolate, I love chips, as we've established, but if I'm eating really delicious food, it's going to be hard for me to stop at the 400 calories that I've allocated for the meal, for example, because not only is the food residue really low, it's so delicious that I want to eat more. And what I could do is actually bring on more cravings. And I don't want to do that. So because my calories are low right now, I'm filling my plate up with food that's palatable. I make it enjoyable, maybe a bit of salt and a bit of sauce or something, but I make it kind of also a bit bland. So by the end, I'm like, that was good, but I'm done. So hedonic staircase of dieting. Look it up.
I put up the satiety index the other day of different foods relative to white bread. And as we know, boiled white potato comes in at the top as in the most satiating, the one you're least likely to consume on after you've eaten. And everyone's like, well, of course it's looking, it's plain boiled potato. Like, that's the point. like if I give you clag glue to eat,
you're not going to eat it.
Your prob's not going to overeat on it. Like, that's the whole point here. Like, someone was like mind blown. Of course it is. I'm like, no, that's the argument.
That's
like,
exactly.
Right.
You're proving my point. Now, the fourth thing that I'm going to do is increase my calorie expenditure or my daily steps. And I'm making that enjoyable. So instead of just at the end of the day, like, fuck, got 6,000 steps to hit, walk on the treadmill like a depressed mope. What I would do is we live on the Gold Coast, so I'll walk on the beach. I'll take our dog Reuben out for a few more walks. Even today I was at the dog shelter and I was walking some of the dogs, and I would throw the ball and I would also chase after the ball with them and meet them where the ball was.
That's
and then
cute,
go back.
Playing catch with yourself?
Well, I was playing catch with myself, wasn't I? But it meant that I got home and I'd done, what have I done? Like 8,000 steps already. Just because I was running around with the dogs.
You'll easily hit, what are you hitting, 10,000 a day?
10,000.
2,000 in vacuuming, easy.
Yeah, okay. 2,000 in making a sandwich. Sure, whatever, Dean.
I'm the vacuumer.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, she's the whip. She whips, I vacuum.
There's no whip. Yeah, so I'm making activity enjoyable. And the fifth and final thing that I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm not socially isolated. So some people think that when they go on a diet, fuck, I can't go to this social event, I can't see my friends, like they just want to go out for dinner. I think all of my friends are in the bodybuilding world, which is kind of sad. Or most of them. So we don't always just catch up for food. We do sometimes, but we all understand that if someone's got a comp coming up or they're trying to make weight for something, whatever, a photo shoot, let's go for a walk instead. Hey, you want to go to Time Zone? Want to go bowling? Hey, why don't we go shopping? and just find other ways to engage with your friends. Maybe even call them while you're doing a 2-hour food prep and chat to them. And what we chat about is our boyfriends and all the shit things they do.
Yeah,
just so you know, Dean.
You don't have one of those. So.
I still call you my boyfriend. Ew, I hate the H word. Yeah, so I'm going to stay socially included by still catching up with my friends, but finding ways to do that don't always involve food, because I have quite a large margin of error, because I'm not getting on stage. I only want to lose a small amount of weight. I still can eat out sometimes with them. I just have to make better choices, but I don't want to eat out all the time.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 things I'm doing. And with those things in mind, I think that there's going to be minimal disruption to my life, minimal invasiveness. Sure, I have to change a few things, but it's not a big deal. But if my goal was different, if my goal was more extreme, then perhaps that won't be the case. Cue Dean, who has firsthand experience.
Well, no, I was going to say the really cool thing I think about trying to set up your life to minimize the invasiveness and minimize the disruption in this kind of a dieting phase is just the conscious awareness of you having a little bit of liberty to shift from day to day, and like whether or not your activity is 8,000 steps or 10,000 steps, or sometimes you eat tacos, sometimes you eat normal food or whatever it is, normal food. Probably shouldn't use that language.
Tacos is normal food.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be hyper liberating to allow you to get the result. Whereas most of the time, the more restriction and restraint and rules and sort of enforcement you place on somebody, they'll either do it very well and hate it, they'll do it reasonably well and then break and feel guilty, or somewhere in between. Whereas this instance, it kind of allows you just to freely sort of, be more fluid, I guess, in your weight loss.
A good example of that is right now, I am not in that time of the month where I have a lot of cravings. I'm right at the start of the cut, so I feel absolutely no diet fatigue. I'm not very hungry right now. And I mean, I'm kind of hesitant to say this because I feel like I may be setting up unrealistic expectations, but it's the truth. I've dropped 1.2 kilos. It's Tuesday now, since Sunday morning, which is a lot of weight. I know that when the time of the month comes around, I probably won't want to be in as much of a deficit. And you probably won't want me to be because, hashtag moody.
Or you could drive the deficit up and maximize fat loss and just be a grouch.
No, I will not. I will not. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm being fluid right now because I can handle more of a deficit. I've dropped a lot more weight than I need to. But I know that there's room to slow things up when I want to in, 2 weeks time or whatever it is.
Yep. Average over time, motherfuckers.
Average over time.
Consistency.
Exactly. But Dean, what may you want to change when you're in a comp prep?
I suppose the biggest difference here is the repetition of effective restraint is probably the biggest thing when it comes to comp prep. Like you do have the opportunity to be a little bit more fluid. I think in a contest prep, if you're somebody who's had really good behaviors built over time, you've done this for a very long time, you know what's in food, you track macros, like you spent years in the game. I'll put myself in that sort of basket. I could probably diet fluidly just by using conscious, mindful eating practices up until maybe 8 to 10 week out.
And by fluid, you mean not counting macros,
not counting macros,
choices?
Not having very specific targets each day, but rather having general targets over the course of time, engaging in good behaviors, whether that be just being a little bit more active, maybe not snacking in between major meals, sticking to a relatively sort of defaulted foundation diet, like Eric calls it, we call it. I could get to 8 weeks out condition. It wouldn't be that hard, I don't think. But that final phase, that final dig phase, that push into extreme levels of low body fat, your margin of error has to be much smaller because the level of body fat you're trying to pull off without maximizing muscle loss is also much smaller. So you have to be kind of on the game. Like most people that have really good behaviors that do the kind of default foundation diet to get to a certain level of body fat, I find, at least anecdotally, tend to undereat because they'd rather undereat and get the results than overeat and try and feed the brain as opposed to feed the physique. So when you get to that low level body fat and the risk for muscle loss goes up and you're just trying to take off that last little bit of body fat, the accuracy for dieting and output and all the rest of it becomes far more important. So that level of restraint, invasiveness, and also disruption to your life is going to be major.
I guess.
Also, your energy's fucked. So
I was just about to say that when you're that lean, you just feel like a bag of dicks, and like you don't want to go out and time zone with your friends or go bowling because you just feel like sleeping.
And like, you know, theoretically, if somebody who's got really good behaviors like yourself you shouldn't really be subjected to too much of the typical adaptive thermogenesis stuff we see, like a reduction in informal subconscious activity in NEAT.
I'm probably still going to be like, 14% body fat by the end, or like, because I'm 17% body fat now. Yeah. I'm only going to lose a little.
It's not going to be major. So no. You're not having to deal with some of that sort of counteractive stuff that goes on without you knowing it. Whereas again, like in this dieting phase of a contest prep athlete, body fat levels go down. The drive to do less goes up without you even knowing it. So you now have to take an otherwise subconscious activity level, known as NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and make it a formal step target. It's now no longer realistic activity. It's conscious, formal movement for the purpose of minimizing adaptive thermogenesis or a reduction in metabolism or metabolic output outside of accounted for by body weight loss. And it just becomes a lot more particular. Yeah, and even all of those rules, honestly, just becomes mentally fucking fatiguing. Yeah. It's much, much, much more mentally fatiguing, I think, to know that you're on the clock all the time and you have to tick every box. But it's also quite liberating knowing that you can kind of somewhat be off and still get a very effective result.
I've set myself a timeline of 6 weeks from now, but no one's going to see me on stage in a bikini. No one, I don't have to weigh in for anything. But I could imagine that it would be quite stressful or kind of thought consuming to know that you're getting on stage, you're actually inviting people to judge your body. Like that. Not
just judge your body, they're judging your flaws and they are not commending you on your attributes.
That's true. Oh, he looks great, but shit carbs.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I could see why I would actually want my life to be disrupted. I want to tick all the boxes and, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, because I wouldn't want to be, getting to the stage day and having the shit ripped out of me and knowing that I could have done so much more.
Yeah, the what if moment in a contest prep is, I think, one of the greatest drivers, at least extrinsically for a lot of people. But in saying that, I think it's the intrinsically motivated people to better themselves are the ones that truly do the best, because they're not relying on that external source to sort of validate their efforts. And it's probably similar in this instance with you. Like, you're very intrinsically motivated to do what you want to do for you and not for other people.
You forgot to say funny and attractive.
Yes, that too. So that we'll just wrap this up.
Oh, that's awkward.
I don't know where to take that from. No, of course. Funny and attractive.
Stop it.
More attractive than funny, more funny than attractive. Which would you rather be?
Oh, I think I'd rather be more funny. Because have you ever met people who you think are attractive and when you get to know them, they're like, they're fucking bland. I don't like them at all. And then they're not attractive anymore?
Is it Jim Jeffries funny? Like people laughing with you? Or Homer Simpson, you're dumb funny?
No. It's got to be Jim Jeffries funny.
Yeah, not Will Ferrell
funny. Not at you. It's got to be with you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I think if I had to choose, I would choose being funny over attractive. Because have you ever met a guy, Dean, and then like you're not really attracted to them or they're not attractive, but you get to know
many men that I'm not attracted to.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay.
Except for that critter bloke.
But then critter, mate. And then they make you laugh and you're like, you just got more attractive. So that's why I would choose that.
It's true. As a man, I think we have that liberty.
It's true. How many hot chicks do you know with like absolute deros?
One. With absolute deros. I thought I preempted what you were going to say then, and I jumped the gun and it messed up. I thought you were going to say, how many funny people do you know that are also attractive? So I was going to drop the compliment in one, being you, but then you went funny with attractive with deros, whatever it was, and I was like,
so you just said I'm attractive and you're a dero. You heard it here first, guys. Dean's a dero.
Listen before you speak,
anyways,
gentlemen.
Where were we? I don't even know.
We were just talking about the wrap up, I suppose. The invasiveness of it. If you, as the intensity of your body composition goal rises, it's likely that the invasiveness and also the disruption will also rise. But if your goal is just a small one from a relative point of view, percentage wise, don't make it a big deal. Try and minimize the invasiveness and the disruption, and just make it a kind of like, I guess, like a part of your sort of daily activity.
Routine. Yeah, because change does not have to suck.
Not at all.
No, because we do have clients come to us. Dean, as you don't do Gen Pop, you may not know, but I have some Gen Pop clients start and they're like, yeah, I just want to fit into my clothes a bit better and be more confident. And that might look like 8 kilograms weight loss. I'm like, great, we can do that. And they have this idea that they have to turn their lives upside down. Like, I already said goodbye to my friends. I'll see them after the diet. Like, no, you don't have to do that, man. Like, So I think we need to just align our expectations up accordingly, because you can make change suck if you want to, but I don't know why you would. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's massive. Most people do think they have to turn their life upside down, and most of the time they just have to make small changes. And most of the time, just be a little bit honest with themselves.
I think starting at a place where you set up the right environment and right habits to begin with makes the process far easier, because I don't have to change a lot to get some good results. But if I had a very different lifestyle, like my sleep hygiene sucked, I like never went to the gym and yada yada, I would have to make quite a lot of changes.
Yep.
So I would probably advise just to set your environment and habits up first, and then make some tweaks accordingly.
And have the right expectations.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe my friends are really supportive, but if you have a different support network or unsupportive network, maybe sit them down and just let them know, hey, like, this is what I'm doing right now. I would really love your support, and this is how you can support me. Ask me to go for a walk on Sunday morning instead of going out to breakfast. Like, just tell your friends what you need. And if they're shit about it, then maybe you should look for new friends.
It fucking blows my mind that people would want to get in the way of somebody otherwise making what appears to be healthy choices. Like, I want to better my life, Liz. And you're like, nah, mate.
Loser.
You're a fucking idiot.
Like,
what would you want to do that for?
I do acknowledge that there's a few shit people, but I also think that some people that get in the way of their friends or son or whatever making good choices, it's more of a reflection on their own self-guilt than it is on anything else. Like, they haven't been able to make the healthy changes that they want to make. And so they're trying to get in the way of someone else just so that they feel a bit better. Like, see, he couldn't do it either. It's not just me. So it's not you, it's them.
Everybody wants that partner in crime.
Indeedy. So, Dean, let's wrap it up.
All right. Bit of a fire round. We're going to hit the questions that we normally ask our guests.
Pow, 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 pow. Something worth sharing, Dean. What do you have to share with the audience?
Ooh, my seminar.
Oh, yeah? Go on.
Yeah, no, it is actually true. We are usually we'd put this in the Stay Up to Date with Flex part, but I'm going to steal the thunder here and say that I'll be presenting our very first seminar in Perth in May.
It's not the first seminar, it's the first one in Perth.
I believe I just said our very first seminar in Perth.
Right, okay.
Depending on how you take the cadence of that language would have changed the message potentially, but
it's fine, move on.
Our first ever seminar being presented in Perth, but otherwise not in other parts of Australia because we've already presented there.
Yes.
On contest prep and the applications thereof of my strategies to maximize the result while minimizing the pain. As a coach, though, not necessarily as a client. So it's mainly for coaches and people that are interested in prepping themselves. And that's in May. All of the details are on the Physique Code Instagram. Richard Collins, the man over there, he's running that for us. And,
hey, Richard.
Hey, Richie Rich. He's loaded, asking for money. I don't know if that's true. Don't do that. So that's happening in May this year, which I'm super excited about.
Hopefully by then we also have our post-comp program up and running, because we know that there are really good and really bad ways to do a comp prep. But regardless of how you do it, even if you do it the best possible way, you're still going to be victim to extreme hunger, maybe episodes of binging, disrupted sleep, and other lifestyle factors. So with this post-comp program, for those not watching, Dean just made a flaccid penis with his finger. I think you were supposed to make that really subtle, but by me actually verbalizing it.
There was nothing subtle about
your dick don't work.
My limp finger.
That too. So fertility issues, blah, blah, blah. So with this post-comp program, we hope to help people with those issues and reestablish a healthy body weight without rebounding so badly that they feel quite uncomfortable with their body fat levels, and help reestablish healthy eating habits again, understand when we should be eating, when we shouldn't be eating, because in a comp prep, you're eating to your food diary. If your diet says you need to eat this at this time, you eat this at that time. It doesn't matter if you're still hungry when you finish or if you're full halfway through the meal, you just get it done. So we're trying to help people just be a bit more normal. Really?
And I think we're going to call it something like the post-comp.
I think it's the make your
recovery
dick work
phase
program.
Because you had a bad diet and want to get a better diet and do good stuff. Program?
Yeah, that's what we're going to
We need to come up with an acronym.
I want to call it the Unfuck Yourself program.
Yeah, but now it sounds like we're back in France.
Anyways, we don't know what we're going to call it yet, but I hope to have it done by then.
If anybody has a good idea for a name and they'd like to put forward, we will give you no proceeds and would appreciate it.
We would appreciate
the name
it.
anyway.
Yeah, I will thank you in an email saying thank you. Okay, Dean. I'm
learning, gracias.
Oh, we're learning Spanish right now. Gracias. Okay.
That's my something worth sharing.
Oh, right. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Okay. My something worth sharing is a podcast called, I feel like I've sworn too much in this podcast, but that's right. I like this podcast called Guys We Fucked. It's not really swearing if it's the name of the podcast.
No.
So I can be excused. The Guys We Fuck podcast. Love it. Anti-slut shaming podcast. Talk about all sorts of sexual things and boys and period problems. It's actually really good. It's good. Life lessons.
You know, and they're hilarious.
They are. They're really funny. Well, they're actually professional comedians.
They think fuck, they're funny.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, Dean.
All right, fire around. Let's do it. And then we're going to go in for shitty choices.
All right. The question that I have for you, it's your last 24 hours on Earth. How do you spend your time?
I would get myself a sweet little vehicle.
Okay.
That's how you say vehicle, by the way.
Oh, is it?
It's a vehicle.
I didn't realize.
In Europe, and I would just travel around just hunting food and coffee.
Hunting food? What do you mean?
Hunting for food, not actual animal food. Just,
you wouldn't
just on the hunt, you know, it's a figuratively speaking, with of course our friend Ruben. He'd be in the driver's seat with me.
Oh, Ruben.
And we'd just go around just nailing chicks. Nah. Getting food. That's a joke.
Ruben
you're with me.
Ruben.
So it'd just be a day of food and like all around Europe, just because I think it's like a cool countryside drive.
Okay.
I had lots of fun when we did that, and I love food and I love coffee.
Mm-hmm. And nailing chicks.
And I love Ruben. And I love you.
That's our senior dog, by the way.
So
guys,
I just put all the love in one basket.
I love you too, Dean. All right. Do you practice any weird hobbies or habits that would surprise us?
Not a weird hobby. No, I don't really have any weird hobbies. A weird habit of recent is to constantly touch my nose.
I know, it's so annoying. Why do you do that?
Because I've got a nose job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And got the whole kit and caboodle. Drilled out, trimmed up, rib graft, straightened, chiseled, you name it.
This was functional, guys, not
it's still numb. So it's the tip of it's supposed to be numb for up to 9 months. And there's bits of it in different areas within the nasal cavity that just is coming back with sensation. So I tend to go like this, and I almost like stroke my nose a bit weird, like I stroke my beard actually. Maybe it's transferring. It's a nose to beard stroke. And it's just because it's an awkward feeling because the sensitivity is returning.
Well, I would appreciate
But I know it's annoying, but I don't care.
It's really, you should care. You should. Now you're to ask me if it's my last 24 hours on Earth,
Liz,
how I spend it.
I have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if you're prepared for this, but if it was your last 24 hours on Earth, how would you spend it and why?
Now, I may have known you were going to ask me this question because we wrote them. And I'm trying to sound interesting to the listeners, but fuck, I'm boring. I would honestly just go about like a regular Sunday, have coffee on the beach, hang out with friends, hug a dog. There's nothing that I like on my bucket list. I'm pretty content.
Chocolate.
Oh, well, obviously, but that's a regular Sunday as well.
Hot chips.
I would be eating hot chips and chocolate for sure. A lot of them.
And
sorry, so that's really uninteresting.
But that's fine.
That's what I would do.
And then the next question.
Yes.
I've forgotten already.
Oh, the next question, is there any weird hobbies?
Weird hobbies or habits?
Yeah, I talk to every dog that I see. Like, I know they
also every human.
Well, yeah, I do talk to a lot of people too. But I think that that's sort of normal. But when I see someone's dog, you know, someone's walking past with a dog and the dog stops to sniff you, most people are like, there, buddy, and pat them on the head. I'm like, what's your favorite color? How are you? What are you doing today?
Yeah, you don't talk to them. You have conversations.
Yeah, I have full conversations. So that's kind of weird. But maybe not that surprising because everyone knows.
I think a lot of people do that.
Do they?
All right.
Perhaps.
That is a good one. And I mean, it's cute as fuck. Dogs are awesome. So.
Is it? I don't care.
Look, if you talk to cats, out the door. You're gone.
Or fish.
Not only would I kick you out the door, but I'd kick you out the door with your cat and your lead that you walk your cat on with the beach because you're a fucking weirdo.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap it up with a would you rather. You're going to ask me first.
Yeah, no, you're just going to pick one.
I picked this one. Can I read it?
Yep, go for it.
Am I asking you?
You're asking me.
Would you rather sell all your possessions or sell an organ? I read that as orgasm. I was like, how do you sell? Would you rather sell an organ or all your possessions?
Which organ?
Fuck, I don't know.
Can it be a kidney?
No.
So it has to be a functional
Your
organ
spleen.
that would otherwise kill. Or I could survive just with a little bit less immunity.
That would be problematic, though.
All of my possessions. Can I repurchase my possessions?
Of course.
I'd sell my possessions.
Okay.
That don't mean anything to me, realistically.
Do you possess me? Will you sell me?
Yeah, I do.
You don't own me, you bastard. All right.
This is for me. You're not.
Oh, sorry, go.
Would you rather lose the ability to hear or the ability to walk?
I'm already ripping my ears off. Fuck that.
I'd rather be able to walk than hear.
Yeah, heck yeah. I would just learn sign language and I'd give everyone the bird. I'd be like, sorry, I'm deaf. This is how I speak. That's what I would do.
Walking, really? I'm not sure.
Imagine, like, how would you get your daily steps up if you couldn't walk?
I wouldn't. I'd have
What would you do?
I wouldn't need steps because my legs would be non-functional and I'd have jacked arms from wheelchairing it around. Not to mention the amount of wheelies that I would do.
Look, I'm not minimizing the struggles of deaf people. It would be very difficult, but I think it would be more difficult to be in a wheelchair than it would to be deaf.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Cool. So that's what I choose.
Yeah, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
Okay. I guess you would be Legless Dean, but we're all different.
I hate that I know that almost sounded like a Lord of the Rings reference.
What?
Legolas. Because I think there's a guy called something like that, Legolas or Legolas.
I don't know.
Anyway, shit movies.
I don't like shit movies. I wouldn't know.
Neither do I.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys it's invoked some thoughts and maybe a different attitude towards weight loss or weight gain or whatnot. And this has been helpful for y'all.
Yeah. If you ever need anything quickly on our Instagram, hit our quick links. That's where most of our stuff is.
So flex_success is our Instagram handle. www.flexsuccess.com.au/rulers of the world is our website. And you can find Dean on, not Tinder. What's the gay one? Grindr. You can find Dean on Grindr at Dean_McKillop_69.
If there is a Dean McKillop 69 on there.
All right, guys, over and out. Until next time.